una invitada muy especial para la entrevista de hoy, que es Róisín Murphy. Hi Róisín, how you doing?
Hi there, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Fine, I'm so excited because your new album has been the soundtrack of my lockdown days.
Yay.
I really enjoy Róisín Machine.
Fantastic, that's lovely to hear.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite albums of this 2020, a typical 2020. And I want to know if you tell me about the composition of the lyrics, the music, and the production. Did you record the record all before the lockdown?
No, we were about halfway when we went into lockdown. That was the time we had scheduled to finish the record anyway. We actually started this record more than 10 years ago and released Simulation 10 years ago and Jealousy a couple of years after that. And lots of things happened in between. I had a baby, another baby, and I made Italian music. I made albums with Eddie Stevens, but we never really had the exact right reason to finish the record. And we waited, and we knew it would happen. We knew it would happen all along, and we always wanted it to be an album right from the beginning. And the production is by DJ Parrott, who's a friend of mine from a very long time ago. I've known him since I was 19 and living in Sheffield. He was a DJ producer then. And he worked with me a little bit on Overpowered, a record I did a few years ago. And after that record, I really felt, because I'd started to go into the disco and the house music a little bit, I wanted to go deeper. That was my first instinct. And so I thought only of Parrott to do that. He was the perfect person to do it. Just to go deeper in and to really do it for real, you know, because he knows it so authentically. And we know each other within that scene, and it feels natural to be referencing our own past and things that we've experienced together in this music. And he's been such a good friend and such a good musical companion all these years anyway. Even through times when I don't write with him, I send him the tracks and talk to him about projects that I'm doing, and he's always very helpful. He's like my uncle. And I feel young because he's old. So when I'm talking to him, because I was always the young one. So I'm still always the young one, even though I'm not young anymore. And the lyrics, the ideas in the songs, very much about individualism, very much about making yourself. And for me, I started to make myself when I went into night culture and into dance music culture and into music culture in general. Long before I ever thought of making music, I was going to clubs and I was going to gigs and I was collecting records and I was obsessed with music. And getting into music and getting into a crowd with other people who love music too, that was where I really started to build my own life and my own character outside of the class and the situation that I was born into, you know, that I was able to really reach out in that world. And in that world, there's some freedom to express. And I think that's what this album is mostly about.
Yeah, it's interesting that when I listen to songs, I think in your past, but it sounds so new, no? It sounds like dance music of 2020.
Oh, good. That's good. Well, hopefully it's timeless. You know, I mean, I think the elements are timeless in it, and there is no kind of corruption in it at all. It's a very earnest record, really. We've been really truthful about what we know and what we can do and what we can deliver and what we can't do and what we won't do. And it's come from a real place, you know, the record.
Yeah, and actually all the clubs are off, no? We are in a global lockdown, and I want to know how difficult it has been to promote the album during this situation.
Not so difficult to promote it. I mean, it would be nice to tour. It would be fantastic. I mean, it feels unnatural to come to the end of promoting a record and not go out on tour and let the record breathe in that other world, in that other light of the audiences and so on, and make a whole new story with it. Then, you know, the story is going to come to an end soon of Róisín Machine in a way. And that feels a bit sad, you know. But we did do a lovely live stream last week. I made a film which I directed, and I'm very proud of the film. And that was the thing that we wouldn't have done probably. So that was interesting, and it was nice to get the band back together and have a reason to come. Not just the band, but the crew as well. You know, I really miss my crew because I spend more time with the crew than I do with the band. I come to I have so many clothes and things I have to do that I come to the venue with the crew, and I stay at the venue all day because I haven't the energy to run around town and do everything that I've got to do, and the crew too. So usually I spend a lot of time with the crew. I'm more like crew than band. The band go off, they go on crazy hikes and walk around the town, and once they went off BMX biking and they came back with the bass player with a broken hand before the show. Was not good.
Yeah, that's not good. And tell me, I want to know the story behind the songs of Róisín Machine. For example, what about Murphy's Law? It's the first song that I listened of the album. Tell me what's behind these lyrics and this music.
Well, you know, I wrote it in Sheffield with Parrot, and I didn't do many songs like that. Most of the songs were written down here separately, on top of the tracks. You know, he'd send me a track and I'd write. But Murphy's Law, we all wrote it together, and I remember just saying, "Can I have a song called Murphy's Law?" And Parrot knew of a disco song that already existed, a 70s one called Murphy's Law. I'd never heard it. And so he was kind of pretty convinced that could be disco enough, you know. And we moved to do the song. And the story of the song, of course, we're in a small town. Sheffield feels like a small town. It's a big city, but it feels like everybody knows each other. So it's a little bit about that and leaving a small town, and that plays into this thing I keep saying about individualism, going out and making decisions for yourself and making your own life, and maybe always making the same mistakes, but you know, it's okay. It can be fun along the way.
Yeah, and what do you think about the disco revival as a trend again? No? Many musicians created music in that vibe of disco sound.
I don't believe it's more popular than it was last year or the year before or 10 years ago or 8 years ago. I mean, for me, disco is has a broad spectrum, you know, so it can be Depeche Mode, and it can be Sylvester, and it can be even Joy Division. It can be Earth, Wind and Fire, Donna Summer, Barbra Streisand. It can be a Brazilian record or a Mexican record. It could be anything, as long as it's played in the disco and it makes people dance. So I have a broad idea of it, and this record was really made to echo a time where it was a very broad
And now tell me about the artistic concept on the artwork of Róisín Machine cover. I really, really love the cover of the album.
No, thank you. Well, a bit of post-punk, punk. Women were very influential on it, and I did a lot of research in that. And Susie Sue eye makeup, sometimes bordering on a bit of Demande Galas, or this. I took a lot of reference in the makeup from that era, and then I just wanted some kind of raw attitude and more rawness to it. I didn't want it to be really glittery, more shiny than glittery. It was more plastic than glitter, and a bit more just to reference the roots of the music as well, and my own roots as a little sort of alternative girl that was going around Manchester who dressed like that and got into disco.
Tell me, do you think the virtual shows like Madden Festival nowadays are a real option as live performances?
Well, this is a simple playing of the songs with an acoustic guitar and just simple performance. That's an intense performance, and in some ways a more intimate performance than you might see on a big festival stage, because you're getting really close to me, and the music is stripped back and the voice is totally raw and in your face, and it's a combination between kind of being a rock star and being an actress. It's a different kind of performance. And making the live stream film was deep, it was like, for me, to go there and to breathe life into that place. That place is a music place.
Yeah, and what we could expect to your show on Madden Festival?
So that's in here, in my living room, with my very handsome guitar player, Jamie McCready, and it's an intimate performance of 5 songs.
What's coming for next year to you? What will you working on?
Well, my next album is nearly finished, so it's just about putting enough space between releases, to be honest. I've done all sorts of things that will come out, all sorts of things. Did collaboration with the band, a very big band, the other day that I can't talk about yet. And then I do have my album coming out, live touring. There's another at-home performance coming that I did in Ibiza. There's a remix album, more remixes coming by different artists. Fantastic. So it's busy. It stays busy.
But thank you, Roisin. It was a good time, and we are so excited to listen the music on this streaming for Madden Festival.
I hope
you
you all enjoy.
much.
Thank you. Thanks so much. It was lovely.